Laozi is first mentioned in the Bible in I want to show in Daniel chapter 10. Um, Daniel's living in, as you can see, Laozi was born. It's not known exactly, but roughly around 571 BC, which is around the same time the prophet Daniel is also living. Daniel he's also Laozi is usually portrayed as living in the 6th century, a contemporary of Confucius, which is actually close in age to the prophet Daniel, um, and he's living in eastern China. Daniel is living in Persia. Daniel goes to Susa, Iran, and Persia. And Daniel is seeing a man in Daniel chapter 10. Um, While he was saying this to me, I bowed my face toward the ground and was speechless. Then, on what looked like a man touched my lips, and I opened my mouth and began to speak. I said to the one standing before me, I am overcome with anguish because of the vision, my Lord. I am feeling very weak. How can I, your servant, talk with you, my Lord? My strength is gone. I can hardly breathe. Again, one who looked like a man touched me and gave me strength. Do not be afraid. You are highly esteemed, he said. Peace and be strong. Be strong. He said, Do you know why I have come to you? Soon I will return to fight against the prince of Persia, but when I go, the prince of Greece will come. But first I must tell you what is written in the scroll of truth. So that's the scroll of truth right here mentioned in Daniel chapter 10, referencing the mystery of heaven, the mystery of God. Um, Revelation chapter Revelation chapter 10 actually reveals the scroll. Um, he swore by him. Then the voice said to me, Go and take the scroll that lies open in the hands of the angel who is standing on the sea and on the land. Take it and eat it. So he was holding a little scroll planted on his left hip, right foot on the sea and left foot on the land. The day when the seventh angel is about to sound his trumpet, the mystery of God will be accomplished, just as he announced to his servants the prophets. So the mystery of this scroll has been revealed to the prophets of old in the books of the prophets. And there's a scroll mentioned in Isaiah, Zechariah, Daniel, and this scroll contains in it the mystery of heaven. It talks about how heaven is being unrolled like a scroll, also all coming out from one point. This concept in this scroll somehow defines all of heaven. That's the key idea that of this being the Tao Te Ching. The Tao Te Ching describes the Tao or the Tao, which is the mystery of heaven and earth, the mystery of creation, which contains all things in it that all things actually came from. So this is the whole mystery of the book of Revelations being revealed through this scroll. So Laozi was born in 571, and he's the one known to have wrote the Tao Te Ching. Um, the Tao, the source of all existence. The Tao, the Tao, the Tao as the source of all existence. It is unseen but not transcendent, immensely powerful yet supremely humble, being the root of all things. People have desires and free will and thus are able to alter their own nature. Many act unnaturally, upsetting the natural balance of the Tao. The Tao Te Ching intends to lead students to a return to their natural state in harmony with the Tao. With Tao. Language and conventional wisdom are critically assessed. Taoism views them as inherently biased and artificial, widely using paradoxes to sharpen the point. So it goes over the principle of the Tao. Zaran is harmony with the Tao. So to be in a state of Zeran would be um, to be in that natural state, that natural pure oneness with Tao and with the nature of the universe. And Laozi is led by um, Dao De, um, Dao De, one called Dao De Tianzun, which sounds like Thoth, Tianzun, Lord of the Way, who is the highest elder lord, the one who led Laozi um, to go to the west. So I'll show this on the map. The alignment is here. This is in China. Laozi is living in this area. I put Laozi goes west. So Laozi would have traveled to see Confucius, and then he would have left to the west along this. The red line is the Silk Road. So if you follow the Silk Road out, it takes you to the border of ancient Persia, which was right around here. And it would have then led to, from the border of Persia, which is where the man in the book of Daniel was captured in Persia. It says he was captured by the kings in Persia. Daniel, you are highly esteemed. Consider the words I am about to speak to you, and stand up, for I have been sent. Do not be afraid, since the day you set your mind to gain understanding and to humble yourself before your God, your words were understood and heard, and I heard, and I came in response to them. But the prince of the Persian kingdom resisted me 21 days. Then Michael, one of the chief princes, came to help me, because I was detained there with the king of Persia. So again, a physical being is being detained through a spiritual principality in the physical realm. This man is being detained physically by the king of Persia. That would be Laozi riding in from the east into Persia from the border of ancient Persia and China. And then the spiritual being through Michael, the spiritual messenger came to contend with the principalities of Persia and bring him all the way to visit Daniel. So that's what's happening in the book of Daniel, is this revelation of the scroll. And then in Daniel chapter, just to further point out that this is the scroll of the book of Revelations, in Daniel chapter 12, he seals the scroll up. But you, Daniel, Daniel chapter 12:4. But you, Daniel, roll up and seal up the words of the scroll until the time of the end. Many will go to and fro and increase in knowledge. So the understanding, the increase in knowledge must come. So at that time, again, the Tao Te Ching had not spread to anyone at that point. By that time, that was when Laozi would have been coming through the border, bringing this scroll, this knowledge to mankind, which was his goal. His goal was to bring it to all of the world, to bring the understanding of the Tao. So it's the scroll that's being unleashed in Revelations, in the book of Revelation. That is the scroll. Revelation chapter 5 is the scroll that's being referred to. Then I saw on the right hand of him who sat on the throne a scroll with writing on both sides, sealed with 7 seals. So this is a sealed scroll. Who is worthy to open up the seals of the scroll? So who, it's asking, who can fulfill the purpose of nature and all of heaven and earth? Who can unlock the mystery of God? And of course, that's only through Jesus Christ, because he fulfilled the meaning of the wellspring of all creation. He died for all others. He died to save others. He went down to the lowest depths, where he brought the good news to everyone in hell and all the way up to heaven, to bring the same message, to unite everything together as one, it says, which is exactly what the Tao does. The Tao is everywhere. So the principle is Jesus is fulfilling that principle. Do not weep, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, has triumphed. He is able to open the scroll and to loosen the seals. So that Jesus Christ is able to take the iron scepter. He's able to take the sword of the Spirit. Jesus is able to fulfill the purpose and meaning behind the mystery of God, behind the mystery of all heaven. So Daniel would have been in Persia, held here. So Michael would have freed him from capture, perhaps somewhere around here, and they would have traveled all the way to visit Daniel in Iran. And I put a mark down by the river, right along the Silk Road, so which is where they would have been. Daniel would have been at, out on the river out here in Susa, Iran. So everything really aligns perfectly with the revelation of the message of the Tao to humanity, and this then unlocks the rest of the book of Revelation. Now we can, in Revelation 22, the crystal clear river of life. The angel showed me the river of the waters of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of the great street. So this infinite crystal clear flowing spring, which created all heaven and earth, which is the source of all heaven and earth, would be, in principle, would be the Tao. That would be the Tao that I've been referring to the entire time. And here's just some portion of the Tao Te Ching translation, describing the Tao in the first chapter. The Tao is the subtle reality of the universe and cannot be completely described. That which can be described in words is merely a conception of the mind. Although names and descriptions have been applied, the subtle reality is beyond any description. One may use nothingness to describe the origin of the universe, and beingness to describe the source of myriad things. But nothingness and beingness are merely conceptions. From the perspective of nothingness, one may perceive the expansion of the universe. From the perspective of beingness, one may distinguish individual things. So it's the source of all heaven and earth, and then it's the source of the individual being, which is then able to, a being is able to then make a distinction between what is far and what is close by, what's heaven and what's earth. But from the perspective of the Tao, the source, the wellspring, there is no, that doesn't exist. It's all one. It's all one and the same. It's all held together. That's the point. So as an individual standing on the earth, I can then describe that heaven is up here, heaven is far away, I am right here. So there's this perspective that's created, which doesn't exist from the perspective of the Tao itself. From the perspective of eternity, obviously, in the presence of God, that doesn't exist. Although different concepts can be applied, nothingness and beingness and other conceptual activities of the mind all come from the same undescribable, subtle origin, the way, the unfoldment of the subtle reality. Having reached the subtlety of the universe, one may see the ultimate subtlety, the gateway of all wonders, the gateway of all mysteries, the gateway of the mystery of God, the mystery of all eternity. So it's drawing the individual back into the source, which is also what's happening here in Revelation 22. And then Tao Te Ching chapter 2, as soon as the world regards some things as beautiful, ugliness simultaneously becomes apparent. So, yeah, individuals making distinctions between things is the source of the problem, just as we see in Genesis. In Genesis, Adam and Eve learning the knowledge of good and evil, the knowledge of making these distinctions is the source of why there is this conflict and brokenness in the world, the fall of man, the separation from the eternal source. Ugliness, as soon as the world regards some things as good, evil simultaneously becomes apparent. So again, the knowledge of good and evil is that distinction that was made by the snake. The Bible clearly says that before that they were completely one with nature all around them. They were one with the Tov of Elohim in Genesis. In exact the same manner, existence and non-existence give rise to one another. Difficult and easy define one another. Long and short form each other. High and low make each other distinguishable. Silence and sound make each other conspicuous. Front and back connect one another. Realizing this, one does not separate one's being from the subtle essence of the universe. One holds no preconceptions and does things without insisting on personal conditions. One guides people by living in accord with the essence of life, the essence of Chi, or the river of life, is called He or Hai in Hebrew, or Chi in Chinese. Same exact word, same exact principle. One brings good things about, but has no intention of possessing them. One performs work, but has no intention to acquire personal power. When one's task is accomplished, one lets go of it and seeks no reward in recognition, because one does not claim credit for oneself. One does not do any damage to oneself. So that would be like the Edenic state, where they didn't have the ego. The Edenic state, the Adam and Eve, before being naked, they were purely naked before all of nature and all of creation, all one together. There was no distinctions made. There would be no reason to try to claim power and elitism and all of that stuff, because there was nothing in the mind to separate oneself from the whole. And then in Tao Te Ching chapter 3, it goes into really the fallen ones, the state of when the superior are not exalted, envy will not be aroused. So again, it talks about in Genesis how they began to then worship the elite. They began to the sons of God came into the daughters of man, and the Nephilim were born. And it says they became the mighty men, the strong men, the powerful men. There will be no rivalry or contention among people. When wealth is not treasured, desire for possession will not be stirred up. Then people will not be tempted to rob one another. By shutting that which is desirable out of sight, the heart will remain undisturbed. Then there will be no confusion in the hearts of people. The guidance of the universal one of natural holiness is therefore, empty your mind, enjoy good health, weaken your ambitions, and strengthen your essence. When people are free from cunning, desire, and artifice, everything will be well ordered on its own accord. So that speaks to certainly to the return to Eden, the restoration of Eden as it is in the book of Revelation, where everyone would lose their ego, their pride. They would have the tree of life flowing through them, which is the natural essence of the river of life flowing into the person. The chi would be balanced and be perfect in the person, in the beings, and they would not have these all these separations and distinctions between people. All would be one. It says that they would see his face and his name would be on their foreheads. There will be no more night. They will not need the light of a lamp to light or the light of the sun, for the Lord God will give them light, and they will reign forever and ever. So they will be fully at one with nature once again. Nature will sing. All of nature will be one again, as it was with the Tov in the very beginning, when it was Magna Tov, when Elohim made it all one and all good.